All right, I am back for part 2 of the June garden tour, early June. I'll do another one late June so you can see the difference in how much everything grows and how much everything changes in the garden. We are at bed 1, which is right now got a whole bunch of different stuff going on in it. The exciting thing about this bed is we've got some cold things, some things that you start really early in the season when it's still cool out, and then you've got some warm loving things going on in here too. And I'll explain kind of why I do that in another video, but let's start on this side here. These, again, more snap peas, snow peas. They're doing great here because they don't get quite as much sun, and in the hot hours of the day they're kind of being shaded a bit by the neighbor's tree up here, and then also by the onions and Brussels sprouts. So they're doing pretty well. No yellowing at the bottom yet, thankfully. I did plant some sunflowers along the edge here. I've got one that popped up and maybe a few down here in the front. We'll see. They're probably not getting enough sun. The Brussels sprouts have been in the garden for since mid-April. The Brussels sprouts are exciting. Last year I grew some Brussels sprouts, but I noticed that I'm about the only one in the house that likes Brussels sprouts. So we're gonna have to try some different ways of making Brussels sprouts to see if people will eat them with me. But they are all starting to get some Brussels sprout heads in between all of the leaves here. I'm not sure if you can see it very well, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4 plants. And then I have one in the front that's definitely not getting enough sun. Then this is some kind of either pumpkin or squash. I cannot remember what it is. So I guess this is going to be our surprise of the season. So we will see what comes up here. I'll take you along for that. It's doing really well right now. It is being kind of shaded out, so I do have to periodically come in and break some of these leaves off, and that's what you see here. I'm doing a chop and drop method, which helps me cut down on the weeds, helps me suppress all those weeds that are coming up. Up here, I have some tomatillos. I started with 2, and then I added 3 more. If you like tomatillos, you do need to grow them in at least 2s. You have to have at least 2s, otherwise they do not pollinate and you will not get any fruit. I companion plant them with marigolds and green beans. Green beans add nitrogen back into the ground. There was some basil in here, but I don't think it's popped up. And then earlier in the season, when I planted the Brussels sprouts, I also put onions in. As you can see, the onions are starting to bulb up. They're all in various stages because it depends on how much sun they're getting. So you can see some of these are bulbing up really, really nicely, and some of them are taking a bit longer, which is okay. That way I can use them at different stages of cooking. Here is where I have some cilantro, which I'm very excited about. I love cilantro. This is Cowabunga kale. It's a mix pack and it's from M.I. Gardener, and as you can see, it germinates very well. So we've got tons of lettuce here, and then underneath in the front I do have some cinnamon lettuce. That's this little stuff here, and I have some butter crunch lettuce. I do need to trim some of the kale back so these get some more sunlight here. And then this is my favorite thing of the garden so far. It has been the most prolific. I'll have to look. Okay, so this is a Destiny broccoli, and what I've noticed that's cool about this broccoli is that it has the main head, and then it does start to get side shoots. I'll have to find one or show a picture, but these are the main heads that you cut off. And then I don't leave these in place because I need this garden space for more tomatoes and peppers. but you can just cut off the head and it will start to grow side shoots, which are just small little florets of broccoli. So all of these are about ready to come out. Some of them are smaller than others, so we'll give them a little bit more time, but they really don't love the heat. And the heat causes them to separate, and when they separate like this, they will start to flower. That one needs to come out tonight, otherwise it will go to seed. I've got some more onions in here. This is catnip. These are ground cherries that I did not plant a single one. These have all come up on their own. And if you've been following along with my garden tours, you know I have hundreds of them. If you would like some, please let me know and I will pot some up and get them ready for you. These are purple or red cabbage. I do have interplanted onions in here. And then this lovely bush in the back is blackberries. This will be my first year with successfully harvesting blackberries. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. All of the flowers on that blackberry bush will turn into blackberries, and I'll get a close-up so you can see what they look like. But every flower that's pollinated by bees and other insects turns into blackberries. So I'll show you up close. This is a blackberry flower, and then once it's pollinated, it starts to bud up, and then they start to look like this, and you let them go until they turn into delicious blackberries. So this bush is loaded. As you can see, there are flowers and berries starting everywhere. So super excited about that. Now we'll go over to the third bed, which has our tomatoes. And if you all know me, I love growing tomatoes and peppers because I like making salsa, pasta sauce, pizza sauce, all the things. My tomatoes look like crap this year. I'm not really sure what's going on. I don't know why they don't love their space, but they don't look great. So I'll start with the front row. These are cherry tomatoes. That's a Sun Sugar. This is a black cherry tomato plant. This is a Husky Red. This one looks the best. And then this is a Whopper tomato. I am very much thinking that they were hit by something. All of these starts were bought because my seeds didn't do well for tomatoes. I have a couple that look okay, but for the most part, they all look like there's something wrong with them. So I'm not really sure. I might have to start over with some tomatoes, which is okay, because I have some that will grow and produce before our last frost date. I have interplanted in here. I have marigolds that help with pest pressure. I have radish because they don't take up a lot of room. They don't fight for resources that tomatoes do. You may not be able to see some of this, but I do have carrots interplanted back here as well, more radishes. And then in the back row, in this row, I have some vintage wine tomatoes that I grew from seed. And then I will go to the back, but it's just more pitiful tomatoes that don't look that great. So another favorite thing that I'm super excited about is my raspberries. Now, I'm very excited about them, but I'm also a little overwhelmed by them. And they have been part of the reason why I was so slow to get in the garden this year, because I didn't know what to do, how to grow around them. And there's so many, and they keep multiplying. So I will show you. That is my raspberries. They have taken over the entire bed. My husband and I went and got stakes so that I can stake them up and make sure that they stay maintained in this bed, but I will definitely have to give some away. I did something different in the fall last year where I didn't cut anything back. I waited till this spring, and that has served me well. I will show you what I mean by that in just a moment, but before I do that, I just want to show a couple of other things that I did here. I planted 2 rows of carrots. They're super tiny, not sure how well you can see them. I did plant a packet of wildflower mixes in this bed in a couple different spots just to bring in some more pollinators. I'm not entirely sure what exactly these are. I believe this might be a Cosmo. There might be some cut flower dahlias and other various wildflowers. This is a rhubarb plant. This rhubarb plant will not be able to stay here because it will be very large. I just needed to get it in the ground to get it started this season, and I will move it in the fall to a better place. This is stevia. The stevia that I had a couple of years ago did really well in this bed, but for some reason this season it is not doing well, and it is already flowering, which is okay. We'll bring in more pollinators that way. The other section here where I didn't have any raspberries coming up, I did throw in another pollinator wildflower mix just to bring in some more flowers and more things that, again, will bring in the pollinators. And the reason for that is because every single branch of my raspberries has flowers, and those flowers will turn into berries as long as they are pollinated. So I'm doing as much as I can to bring in the pollinators to hopefully have a successful year of raspberries. So that is it for the beginning of June garden tour. If you have any questions, if you want raspberries in the next year or so, just know they multiply and they take up space. So this started as one raspberry cane and has become this massive 5x6 bed. But yes, super excited for this season to keep growing, and can't wait to hear what questions or comments that you have or any tips that you'd like to know from me. Thanks guys, God bless.